The XRP SEC case is officially over. We have been waiting patiently for this to happen, and it's not new news, right? Like, if we actually think about this, it happened 7 days ago. But from the announcement, there was quite a bit of FUD regarding if this really was over, that we're going to have to wait, a while until the SEC actually gives us an update and clears the air. And guess what? Well, we didn't have to wait too long because we just got the update from the SEC. Now, this did get pushed on the 12th. This was the official release of the document going with the announcement that the parties have filed their joint dismissal. Now, within this is the full update. Again, it is dated August 7th, but it did get released on the 12th. And just within this, it outlines the dismissal from both parties. So, again, this is a clear confirmation from the SEC that the case is officially wrapped up. Now, I've been talking about this and I've been addressing it for quite some time, that once this case is wrapped up, we are going to witness a big shift around Ripple, around XRP, and now with the new introduction of ROUSD, well, ROUSD is also going to see some very, very positive gains. And when I say gains, I'm not talking about price action. I'm talking about adoption, partnerships, market exposure. There's going to be a lot happening now around Ripple, around XRP, and around ROUSD that we just would not have seen before if this case was still active. So I'm very excited to finally put this behind us. And it is definitely a huge obstacle that was in front of us, really kind of holding us back. And now there's absolutely nothing stopping XRP from hitting, a new all-time high, from getting adopted, from getting utilized. There's nothing stopping Ripple from expanding and ultimately partnering up with some very big names, and even ROUSD as well getting introduced into those partnerships. And, who knows what is going to happen next, but I would argue that there's going to be some pretty big updates hitting the markets around Ripple, around XRP, and even around ROUSD going forward. Now, Hester Pierce did put out a post, and she said last week the SEC's case against Ripple was finally laid to rest. A welcome development for many reasons, including that minds once occupied with litigation now can concentrate on creating a clear regulatory framework for crypto. So they completely cleared the air with these cases. Now they're locked in on creating a clear regulatory framework for crypto. And Paul Atkins also did respond saying, Commissioner Pierce is right. With this chapter closed, we now have an opportunity to shift our energy from the courtroom to the policy drafting table. Our focus should be on building a clear regulatory framework that fosters innovation while protecting investors. And guess what? It looks as though we are about to witness a massive shift around the crypto industry. This is all a part of that Project Crypto that Paul Atkins did announce. And it's exciting to finally put the biggest crypto case behind us and really get the ball moving on things that will actually allow this space to, multiply in terms of value. Announce not even just announcements. How about just adoption, right? Like there's so much that was really hindered because of this case. And believe it or not, a lot of people don't want to admit this, but Ripple, we think about Ripple as this like private company that only cares about, profits and making money. But you got to remember that Ripple and what Ripple is trying to do with crypto, they are trying to build towards mass adoption of this tech. So now that there's zero obstacles in front of them, they could also allow for mass adoption of crypto technology. I think that, this case hindered quite a bit that we just weren't aware of. Everyone thought one thing, which was price action of XRP. But there's so much more behind the scenes that we are still looking at and focused on now that this case is put behind us. Now, talking a little bit more about that, let's actually address a few things. Let's actually address market expansion of XRP with ROUSD. So Epic Chain on August 9th announced that Epic continues to expand its XRP native infrastructure, aligning every layer of its RWA stack with ROUSD. Through the planned integration of Ripple USD, Epic will embed a native USD settlement layer across its ecosystem, powering tokenized real estate, credit, commodities, and collectibles. So this is huge, and now they are locked in with ROUSD. They were already focused fully on their XRP native stack, And this just adds another additional layer to that. On top of that, on August 12th, we also got a big update from Mesh, which Mesh now supports Ripple USD. ROUSD joins 50 plus supported tokens and is now accepted at checkout by merchants. This is another huge expansion. And currently speaking, ROUSD, everyone kept talking about how most of the ROUSD supply was on Ethereum. Well, check this out from vet_x0. Looks like ROUSD contingent is moved from Ethereum to the XRP ledger. Call it the rotation. And if we look here, we could see 20 million ROUSD burned at ROUSD Treasury. This was with Etherscan. And then 20 million ROUSD was minted at ROUSD Treasury on the XRP ledger. This was 4 minutes apart. This is a huge move and a huge signal that ROUSD is going to grow on the XRP ledger going forward. And we can actually see that going over here. ROUSD 642 million, up 24% in the last 30 days. We could also see that monthly transfer volume 3.37 billion, up 28%. Monthly active addresses and holders are also up in a big way. But if we take a quick look at the XRP ledger, market share is actually up about 13+%. And we see in the last 30 days, up 30+%, outbeating Ethereum. And we are now closing in on $100 million here for ROUSD on the XRP ledger. And we could see the growth over here as well. For the XRP ledger, stablecoin market cap up 75% in the last 30 days. We also see the RWA value up 60% in the last 30 days as well. So this is very exciting to see. Stablecoin adoption on the XRP ledger is starting to pick up in a big way. You could also even see that with USDC. There's a few other stablecoins here, EURP. I'm excited to see a lot more of these really kind of hitting the XRP ledger, but also a lot more of them expanding on the XRP ledger right now because, currently some of these have practically zero value tied to them like EURP, but I do expect that to change going forward. But outside of that, we also got a big update from Monica Long. So she was telling us exactly what's coming to the XRP ledger and with Ripple now that this case is basically done. Big shout out to Subjective Views for this. Here we have Ripple is laser focused on building liquidity across key currency pairs, primarily through its cross-border payment solutions and the use of XRP as a bridge currency. They are reducing friction in cross-border payments, which supports the company's mission to improve global financial interoperability. Check it out.
To launch a Ripple dollar stablecoin, we saw two things. One, which is the reality that the stablecoin market is big and it's getting bigger and bigger. So from a few $100 billion today to growing to, 3 to 4 or 5 trillion, depending on what forecast you look at, dollars in market cap over the next few years. And that's because I think the world is really embracing and realizing the use cases for stablecoins beyond just speculative crypto asset trading. The second reality is that stablecoins have been central to our payments business. So, to use blockchain to make cross-border payments a lot faster and lower cost, we've been using stablecoins for a while now. And so, the more ownership we can take of our product suite, the better. I think there's two kind of long poles to making stablecoin payments the norm or to make them really explode in growth globally. One is connecting blockchains to domestic systems. And that's really, that's been the hard work of Ripple over the past, several years, is building the network itself. And, you know how it is in payments. There can be many different ways to achieve that through different strategies. But the second key thing is, I think, liquidity. So you think about FX markets in 2024, there was upwards of $200 trillion in FX volumes. But in stablecoin volumes, it was like $25 trillion, mostly through speculative trading. So the next challenge that we have as an industry is to now create the breadth and depth of liquidity for stablecoins across key currency pairs like AED and others. Ripple owns many XRP tokens. We also staff a team of core ledger developers who are always, continuously working on and innovating with the ledger. So I think, one, we have always been working in service to build use cases that make use of the attributes of the XRP ledger. So that's why we've been focused on payments from the beginning, because it was always kind of built for payments. And yeah, I think that having the competencies in-house between, blockchain development as well as the commercial teams building the solutions on top of it has been beneficial.
And when we think about this, right, the entire market around cross-border payments just opened up. We know that Ripple, for the entire time that they were involved in this SEC lawsuit, right, they have been expanding outside of the US. Now the US market has fully opened up for Ripple. Going forward, we are going to see a lot of these use cases being targeted. She talked about FX markets, right? The FX market is ripe for disruption. It is $7.5 trillion per day. These markets are now going to be tapped in. And even when we think about cross-border payments, currently speaking, they're worth over $194 trillion, forecasted to reach $320 trillion by 2032. And with stablecoins already becoming a crucial part of this space, stablecoins have $262 billion tied to them, $3.36 trillion in monthly transfer volume. Stablecoins are reinventing the wheel around payments. Now that Ripple has the full market open, they are now going to be able to have ROUSD adopted around the world. And I also think that ROUSD adoption is going to start to increase rapidly from this point on, with all of the announcements that we have been seeing, with all the acquisitions, even more recently, the one with Rail Financial. This one was a huge one to really kind of look into. When we think about Rail, they had $10 billion in annual processing volume, 12 plus bank partners, 95% T0 settlement time as well. Like, this was a crucial stablecoin infrastructure for them to, tap into. And there's a ton of institutional players tied to it as well. We also know that Ripple is fully focused on the institutional sector. So all of what we are now seeing is the perfect environment for Ripple, for XRP, for ROUSD. And this is why I kept saying, like, listen, once this case is wrapped up, there is absolutely nothing in front of XRP holding it back. And I also think that that's why we've been seeing so much adoption around ROUSD and so much growth as well. We've been seeing more and more market opportunity for ROUSD. We've been seeing the market exposure to ROUSD expanding. Like, for example, Transact on July 9th announced ROUSD was live on its platform. Also, Doppler Finance has been introducing ROUSD vaults. There's been a lot of integrations happening around ROUSD. And then also, on top of that, towards the end of July, we did see that ROUSD was ranked the #1 most trusted stablecoin in the market from Blue Chip. So, when we think about everything that's happening right now around this space and even outside of the space, TradFi is flooding into crypto. I do think that they are going to look into something like, XRP, because XRP is the #1 made in America coin from CoinMarketCap. Outside of that, it's the 3rd largest cryptocurrency by market cap. And when it comes to, enterprises and institutional players wanting to tap into crypto through a name like, for example, Ripple is the best in class for this because they just got fully cleared, and it's the safest infrastructure for them to tap into because they've been accommodating and working with institutional players for well over a decade now. And they've been extremely successful in that part of the market. And on top of that, they have an all-in-one platform for these institutional clients to tap into blockchain. Even if it's not just through XRP, still, we are going to see so much increased adoption and exposure to the TradFi space through Ripple, through XRP, through ROUSD. I mean, this case, I kept saying that it was a huge obstacle. Even though this case, some people took it way too serious, I've always said that it was all planned. I'm just so excited to finally see this over, and it's over at a perfect time. I mean, think about it, right? This is the year for institutional adoption. It's the year for regulatory moves to be made as well. It could not have happened at a perfect time. So this is just extremely exciting, guys. This is the perfect moment for XRP, for Ripple, for even ROUSD. And going forward, I really do think that adoption is going to grow, especially around the cross-border payment market. We already know that stablecoins became 1% of the global M2 supply this year. I think that number quickly accelerates going forward. And I do think that players like Ripple are going to be at the forefront of the stablecoin boom to really reap the rewards for being extremely early and also for being fully compliant and working with big names like even regulators, big banks, central banks, you name it. So with that being said, if you guys did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.